今天要分享的改编故事是《黄粱一梦》，希望能在学习英语的路上给你带来收获。你的每个点赞和订阅都是对我莫大的鼓励。那么，咱们开始吧。
In the 8th century, during the glorious Tang dynasty, a down-on-his-luck guy named Lu Xing changed the way we think about life forever. He was tired. Not the kind of tired you feel after a long day at work, but the deep, bone-weary exhaustion of a dream that's dead. Lu Xing had spent years studying the Confucian classics, mastering calligraphy, and preparing for the imperial exams. This was the only way for a common man to rise up, to become a government official, to bring honor to his family. He took the test in the big city. And he failed. He tried again. And he failed again. Now, he was on his way back to his tiny village, a failure at 30. His clothes were just rough, faded cotton. His horse was old and bony. He had no money, no wife, and no future. One afternoon, he stopped at a small roadside inn in the town of Handan. The place was simple, with wooden tables and the warm smell of a fire. He slumped down across from an old man with strange, calm eyes. The man was a Taoist monk named Lu Wang. He wore simple robes, but he had a peaceful look that Lu Xing had never seen before. Lu Xing couldn't help it. He let out a heavy sigh and stared at his dirty clothes. The old man, Lu Wang, looked at him. "Young man," he asked softly. "You look healthy. You look smart. Why do you sigh like someone who has lost everything?" Lu Xing laughed, but it was a sad, bitter laugh. "Lost everything? Old sir, you can't lose what you never had. I'm just a peasant. I work in the mud. I study like a scholar, but I live like a dog. A real man should make his mark on the world. He should become a general or a minister. He should eat from fine dishes and wear silk robes. He should build a big family. That is a life worth living. I have nothing. I am nothing." He felt pathetic saying it out loud. The weight of his failure was crushing him. His eyes got heavy. He was so tired. The innkeeper went to the back to start cooking their food. He put a pot of millet, called yellow millet or huangliang, on the fire. Just as Lu Xing's head started to droop, the old Taoist reached into his cloth bag. He pulled out a strange pillow. It wasn't soft. It was made of green porcelain, like a ceramic brick, but with a hole on each end. "Rest your head on this," Lu Wang said, handing it over. "Then you will have what you want." Lu Xing was too tired to argue. He took the hard, cool pillow and put his head down on the wooden table. He looked through one of the holes in the pillow. The hole began to grow. It got bigger and brighter. The light pulled him in. Suddenly, he wasn't in the inn anymore. He was standing at the gates of a huge house. Servants ran up to him, bowing. "Master, you're home." They led him inside. There, waiting for him, was a beautiful woman from the powerful Chui family. Her family was rich and noble. In his dream, he married her that very day. Now, his life was perfect. His new wife brought him money and status. He took the imperial exam again. This time, he passed with the highest honors. He became a government official. His career took off like a rocket. He was sent to run a tough district. He worked hard, digging canals to bring water to the farms. The people loved him. They carved his name in stone. He led an army against a barbarian invasion. He crushed them. The emperor promoted him. He moved to the capital. He became a trusted advisor. He had 5 sons. All of them grew up smart and strong. They all passed the exams and married girls from the best families. His grandsons filled the courtyard. His house was full of gold, fine horses, and beautiful music. He lived in luxury for over 50 years. But in dreams, as in life, the wheel keeps turning. Other officials in the court got jealous. They whispered lies to the emperor. "Lu Xing is too powerful," they said. "He is planning a rebellion." The emperor believed them. One night, soldiers burst into Lu Xing's mansion. They arrested him. They threw him in a cold, dark prison. He was in chains. He looked at his wife, her face stained with tears, and cried out, "I should be back in my village. I should be wearing my old cotton clothes and riding my skinny horse on the road to Handan. I wish I had never been born." He tried to kill himself, but his wife stopped him. He was exiled to the edge of the empire, a place of swamps and disease. He thought it was over. He waited to die. Then, years later, a messenger arrived. The emperor had found out the truth. The lies were exposed. Lu Xing was innocent. He was called back to the capital. The emperor gave him even more power. He was made a duke, the highest rank in the land. He was richer than ever. His sons were all important officials. He grew old. At 80, he was weak and sick. He lay in his giant bed, covered in silk, surrounded by doctors sent by the emperor. But none of them could save him. He took his last breath. And then, he opened his eyes. He was lying with his head on a hard, cold pillow. His face was on a rough wooden table. The old Taoist, Lu Weng, sat across from him, smiling calmly. The fire crackled in the hearth. And from the back of the inn, he could smell it. The scent of the yellow millet cooking. The innkeeper walked out, wiping his hands. He looked at Lu Xing and said, "Dinner's almost ready." "Just a few more minutes." Lu Xing shot up. His heart was pounding. He looked at his hands. They were young again. He looked at his clothes. Rough, faded cotton. He looked at the door. No soldiers. No servants. He was shaking. Was that a dream? He stammered. He had just lived an entire lifetime. He had fought battles, married a beautiful woman, raised 5 sons, been rich, been poor, been a hero, been a prisoner, and died an old man. He had felt the joy of victory and the terror of death. He had felt the warmth of his family and the cold steel of prison chains. He had lived over 60 years of joy and pain. And the innkeeper's pot of millet wasn't even done cooking yet. Lu Wen looked at him, his eyes kind and ancient. "The joys and sorrows of a human life," the old man said softly. Was it not just like this? Lu Xing stood there for a long, long time. He wasn't just shocked. He was transformed. He looked at the old Taoist. The anger, the ambition, the desperate hunger for success, it was all gone. It had been burned away by the fire of a life he had lived and lost. He bowed deeply, a gesture of complete respect. "I understand now," he whispered. "I understand the way of honor and disgrace. The cycle of fortune and failure. The pain of gain and loss. The deep mystery of life and death. You have shown me the truth. You have cured my heart of its wild desires. Thank you." He bowed again. And then he walked out of the inn, leaving his ambition behind forever. He didn't need to chase glory anymore. He had already lived it. He had already died from it. And now, he was awake. This story is over 1,000 years old. We call it the Golden Millet Dream. We use it when we talk about things that feel real and important but disappear in a flash. A billionaire loses everything in a stock market crash? That's a黄粱一梦. A movie star fades into oblivion? 黄粱一梦. But think about it. Here's the real question for you, right now. Lu Xing woke up from his dream. He got a second chance. But what about us? What if we are all Lu Xing, right this second? What if this, your job, your worries, your phone, your house, what if this is the dream? The Japanese writer Ryunosuke Kutagawa wrote a version of this story. In his tale, when Lu Xing wakes up, the Taoist expects him to be depressed. He expects him to give up. But Lu Xing smiles. He says, "It's because it was a dream that I need to live it for real." A dream ends. But this life will end too. That's why I want to live this dream as vividly as I can. I don't want to waste a single second. The millet is still cooking. The steam is rising. Your story is still being written. Are you going to spend it chasing things that vanish? Or are you going to wake up and truly live?
下集请移步主页观看。